Now this is video 2 of a series. I don't know how long it's going to be. Um, my name's Bill. I left off on the last video with vacuum. A vacuum had formed inside the planet, the hollow Earth. That vacuum became stronger and stronger as the cooling sensation took place. Now the Earth, I believe right from the beginning, was spinning on its axis, maybe a little different axis or something, maybe different speed, but it was spinning on an axis at the beginning. And I really don't have any reason to say that other than the fact that it's round and spherical and yada yada yada. But if this is true, then on the inside, as this liquid mineral formed, it would be traveling around the equator area, wherever that was at the time. The area near the poles, north and south, would be much thinner than the areas near the equator. So as this vacuum formed, it could continue to form and maybe be contained in there forever, or it could implode the planet where the planet collapsed in on itself, or it could break open and relieve the vacuum by allowing atmosphere outside to flow inside. And I believe that's what took place because we're here. And this will explain a few things down the road. So they talk about an ice age and all the different reasons what formed an ice age and all the proof that this is the way the ice age was formed. Personally, I believe that what I'm about to explain explains the ice age simply. On the outside, you had, at this time in creation, an ocean of water flowing on the outside. And that's why in the second day in Genesis it says that there was a firmament and that there was water above and water below. Well, the water below was the earth below an ocean. There was no land yet because it was under ocean. You couldn't see it. It was there, but it was hidden. And the waters above were just the oceans of the universe that had not yet been taken up by other planets and stars. And that did come fairly quick until it became a vacuum in outer space. I believe all the planets are hollow, and if you do if you look at it, scientists will try to tell you they're all solid, and that if the Earth was hollow, it wouldn't be balanced, and their mathematics shows that proves that they're all solid. They're doing that on the idea that the Earth is solid, with a mass and weight of what they think the Earth is based on. I don't know if you're following me, but it's just a concept. It's not a fact unless it's proven. Now they think that's proof, but it's not proof because it's based on itself. There's circular reasoning, and it's kind of related to that. So anyway, the planet imploded, or it didn't implode. It broke open at the north and south pole. Now one or the other or both. Good possibility both. When it did, it went through all kinds of upheaval. The crust may have broken, shard, cracked, whatever, creating the continents at that time, or it may have been down the road. I think it was down the road though. But the point here is that when it happened, it sucked in this water into the core, into the center, not into the core, but into the center. The gravity of the inner crust kept that water against the cavity, against the inner wall, and it flowed over the liquids of minerals that were in there. These all settling and changing with whatever, creating veins and rock formations like we have on the outside and inside. So like a lot of things I'm not going to explain because a lot of things aren't necessary to explain why the Earth is hollow. But if you want to, you can go into them, and they're easy to understand the more you have this to go with you. So the crust, a new crust formed inside over the liquid, trapping the liquid between the outside crust and the inside crust. So now what you end up with is a star at the center, an atmosphere between that star and the surface of the interior, a crust over the interior, lava between that crust and the outer crust, and then your outer crust that we live on. At the North Pole, or let me back up a bit here. When this crack happened, or when this break happened in the North Pole, it sucked instantly because you got a vacuum that's going to be very strong, powerful vacuum to break that crust. It's got to be really intense. So when it broke open, it sucked the atmosphere inside, so fast at the poles, the colder regions of the Earth, and it formed a frost over the hole. The hole the new hole that just broke open, it formed a frost over it, and that's your ice age. It formed it all the way down to wherever the ice age went. You know, I used to work in a garage years and years ago, and we had to work on tractor trailer tubes, flat tires. We'd take the tube out and we'd fill it full of air and find the hole and patch the hole and put it all back together. Now, when I was doing this, I look back on it and I can understand this better now. When we were doing this, a frost would form over the hole. Now, the reason the frost formed was because inside that tire was a warm atmosphere, or warm air, humid warm air. And because it had been cooled and warm and cooled, warm, like it's condensation inside, yada yada yada. So when we were working in weather that was 32 to, well, 10 below to 20 below in that area. Cold, that's Fahrenheit. So you I'm talking Celsius there, not Fahrenheit. Sorry. You have this humid, warm atmosphere inside the tire coming out, or inside the tube, coming out into that cold air, and it just freezes it forms a frost over the hole. And, well, there it is. That's what happened up in the North Pole. It sucked it in so fast that a huge layer of ice formed over that area, and that's your ice age. I don't know that, but I'm sure of the sucking in and everything, and it makes sense that would cause a frost over the poles. So if it's so extreme and so violent as what I'm explaining would have to be, there's no reason why it wouldn't cause what we look at as an ice age. Now, there were no mammoths on the Earth at that time, because before that there was still just an ocean of water. So there's something missing here, obviously. But there's enough to say, well, we're missing so much in our understanding of time that this is probably maybe happened once or twice or maybe more, God knows. And if that's a possibility, then maybe the mammoths were there when it did it the second time or whatever. I don't know. I'm just trying to understand things. The idea that I'm trying to explain is the Earth is hollow, and that part is, to me, is very obvious as we go. All the other stuff is just other stuff. So you got this ocean that just flooded inside, and how deep it is, God knows. So let's say, for argument's sake, it's 500 feet deep, just for a number. You've got a star at the center. You got a very small sphere at that time. It hadn't yet expanded. If you ever see the expanded Earth videos, they make so much sense, and I believe them 100%. Except I talked to the guy who made them, and he doesn't believe the Earth is hollow. Well, if it's expanded, how can it not be hollow? I mean, unless there's a growth inside. We have no evidence of a growth inside. So, to me, it's just more evidence of what I'm trying to explain. So you've got a crust inside. You've got the ocean of water flowing inside. You've got a star shining down on that ocean, very close proximity compared to what it would be today. So you're going to create a new atmosphere, and it's going to be a humid atmosphere, very humid, because you got the sun shining down on the ocean, right? So it's evaporating this ocean, creating a very humid atmosphere, and instead of creating a vacuum this time, it's creating pressure. So that pressure builds and builds as the waters evaporate, forming or creating, wanting more space. Eventually, the heat from that core, from that water, it melts the North Pole, the frost area in the inside, corrodes it to the point where it is mushy. And at the same time, outside, the ice age, or if that's what took place, is receding, so you're getting, and it's getting thinner and thinner at the pole, so that eventually, at just the right time, when everything is just pressure is great enough, and the crust is thin enough, or the ice is thin enough, remember there's a hole up there. It's still there. It's just plugged with ice. So eventually, it corrodes it to the point where the pressure is built up to the point that it bursts open. Now, if we look at Genesis chapter 6 and look at the description of the flood, it says that the bowels of the great deep burst open. In Job, he describes it as it coming out, as if it came out of the mother's womb. In chapter 38, I believe it is, or 37. You can look at that. If you're not reading your Bible, this video means nothing anyway. So you got to prove this by Scripture, and it's not my job to do that for you. It's your job. So go for it. So now you've got the bowels of the great deep bursting open, and it rained 40 days and 40 nights. Now, if, let's say Mount Everest was half the size as it is now, or whatever, the mountains probably weren't as tall as they are today. I mean, we look at everything from our perspective. But in the Earth, whenever Earth first formed its crust, it didn't have mountains. Mountains were formed by the breaking of the crust and the movement of the crust. The volcanoes and pieces of crust that overlapped and pushed up and stuff like that. You know, that's how mountains are formed. They weren't formed when the first Earth formed at crust. So when the flood happened, we don't know how tall the mountains were. There may have been mountains. The tallest mountain may have been 20,000 feet, or the tallest mountain may have been 5,000 feet. We don't know. There's no way of knowing that. All we do know, I mean, if you believe the Bible, I do. I've had many experiences with the Lord, so I believe it. So, if the Bible is true, then the bowels of the great deep burst open, and they flooded, the water inside poured out here and found a balance between the inside and the outside. Now, remember, the globe is smaller at the time. We haven't gone through that expanding process that's explained on Expanding Earth. So the globe is smaller. So it don't take as much water to flood it. And as it flooded it, the atmosphere inside also came out here under pressure. And it found an equilibrium. It found a balance between the two that was equal. So by that time we probably had the ozone layer. You can search, find out what produces ozone to know how that was formed. It's I don't know.